One of the basic analysis you can do with Network Analyst is to find the best route along a series of stops with a given criterion. First, make sure that you have Network Analyst enabled in extensions, and you have the Network Analyst toolbar display. Click the Window button on the toolbar to open the Network Analyst window, then click Network Analyst to add a new root layer. The components will show up in both the Network Analyst window and your table of contents. You see all these at 0, meaning you currently have no stops and no routes. The next step is to import or create some new stops. Let's say we want to find a route with the shortest walking time from Piedmont North to Classroom South and then to 55 Park Place. I will add the 3 points in this order. To help illustrate what I'm doing, I'm going to add a base map, and then I'm going to add the student housing and GSU building to the map. Alright, now I'm ready to create the stops. With stops highlighted, click the button next to the window button, which is create network locations. And then you can click at the locations where you want to create stops. So the first one is the Student Hall Piedmont North, and then followed by Classroom South and 55 Park Place. Now we have 3 stops. I need to tell Network Analyst how exactly I want the analysis done. So open the route properties to configure analysis settings. We have time, the default cost measure chosen as impedance, that's fine. Time of day, start time is useful if we have traffic information to estimate driving time. We don't want it to reorder stops, so leave this box unchecked. U-turns are allowed. Everything else seems fine. Now under accumulation, you could check length so that the best route will have the overall distance calculated, but still the criterion would be the shortest walking time. Alright, now everything is ready. We can click the solve button here. And you see a best route is created. You can open the directions to see the walking directions and overall distance of 1 mile. Total time is 23 minutes. So you see the route starts here on Analyst Street. That's because the first point I added is closest to this road segment. If actually I know that Piedmont North is open to Piedmont Avenue, I could move this point a little bit so it's closer to Piedmont Avenue. So this button here is select move network locations. I select this point and I move it a little closer to Piedmont North. Alright, now if I solve again, you see the start point change to Piedmont Avenue. There is one route here, which is the route that's just created. You can change the style by changing the route layer here in your table of content. So we change the color. If you want to export the best route that we found, you could right click and export data. Now you see there are 3 empty classes under stops and routes: point barriers, line barriers, and polygon barriers. These help us set what to avoid in finding a best route. If, say, there's construction on this block, for example, then I can put a point barrier here so the best route will avoid it. Let's see how it works. With point barrier selected, I choose Create Network Locations tool, and I put point barrier here. Now, if I quick solve again, you see the best route will avoid this block. You might have noticed that there are two categories under each type of barriers: restriction and added cost. Restrictions are barriers that you cannot pass. So like this point barrier that we put here, the route has to go around them. Added cost, on the other hand, is undesirable, such as a toll road. So the best route can still include them, but at a higher cost. Now let's see an example of using line barriers with added cost. I have created a pseudo walkability measure for my road segments layer. Gonna bring it in. So I just created random numbers, random integer between 1 and 5. Let's assume this random number, this walk here, represents walkability of the road segment. And let's use line barriers to represent an added cost for roads with poor walkability. First, let's select road segments with walkability of 1. So let's select that attribute. Alright, we have 132 line features selected. Now, right-click on line barriers and load locations. This is a way of reading existing features into the network analyst layer. So we're selecting from road segment, and make sure you have this box checked, only load selected rows. Remember, we have the roads with a walkability of 1 selected. Barrier type, change restriction to scaled cost. So this is the same as added cost. And these two numbers here are the multiplier that you use for these line barriers. Let's add a 50% cost to time. So instead of 1, I put 1.5 here. Right, you see now 132 line barriers are loaded under scaled cost. So I'm gonna delete this point barrier here. Or you can just right-click, delete all, so that will clear all point barriers. Now, with the line barriers, I'm gonna solve again. You see the new route might still go through some of these line barriers where it's too costly to go around it, but mostly it will try to avoid that.